Western Union Office, Las Vegas, June 1960. The telegram sat on the clerk's desk for 3 hours before anyone noticed it was marked urgent. It had come in at 11:23 a.m., buried under a stack of routine messages. Birthday greetings, business confirmations, the usual traffic that moved through the Western Union office on a Tuesday morning. The clerk, a woman named Dorothy who'd worked there for 16 years, found it at 2:14 p.m. when she was reorganizing the delivery queue. She read the destination address twice to make sure she wasn't mistaken. Sands Hotel. Attention, Frank Sinatra, personal and confidential. She looked at the timestamp. 3 hours late. Her stomach dropped. She picked up the phone and called her supervisor. "We have a problem," she said. The telegram was from Hoboken, New Jersey. It was 7 words long. "Your father passed this morning. Come home. Dolly." Dorothy's supervisor, a man named Ed Brennan who'd been with Western Union for 23 years, took the telegram from her hands and read it. His face went pale. "This should have been delivered immediately," he said. "I know. It got mixed in with the standard traffic. I didn't see the urgent marking until just now. Do we have confirmation that Sinatra is at the Sands? I can call." "Do it, now." Dorothy called the Sands, asked for Frank Sinatra's suite. Was told Mr. Sinatra was not accepting calls. She explained she was with Western Union and had an urgent message. The hotel operator put her on hold. 2 minutes passed. Then a man's voice came on the line. "This is Hank Sanicola. I'm Mr. Sinatra's manager. What's this about?" "We have an urgent telegram for Mr. Sinatra. It arrived 3 hours ago and we need to deliver it immediately." "What's it say?" "I'm not authorized to read the contents over the phone. It's marked personal and confidential." There was a pause. "Bring it to the hotel. I'll make sure he gets it." "Thank you. We'll have a courier there in 15 minutes. Dorothy hung up. Ed was already filling out the courier dispatch form. "Who's available?" Dorothy checked the board. "Miguel. He's finishing a delivery on the strip. He can be there in 10 minutes. "Send him. Tell him this is priority. No stops. Straight to the Sands." Miguel Rodriguez was 28 years old. He'd been delivering telegrams for Western Union for 6 years. He delivered messages to celebrities before, birthday wishes to Sammy Davis Jr., contract confirmations to Dean Martin, fan mail to Marilyn Monroe when she stayed at the Riviera. But he'd never delivered a telegram marked urgent to Frank Sinatra. He took the sealed envelope from Dorothy's hands and looked at the address. "Is there a problem?" he asked. "It's 3 hours late," Dorothy said quietly. "We need to get it to him as fast as possible." Miguel nodded. He didn't ask what it said. He didn't need to. The look on Dorothy's face told him everything. He drove to the Sands Hotel in 8 minutes, parked in the loading zone, walked through the casino floor, slot machines ringing, dice clattering, dealers calling bets, and took the elevator to the penthouse floor. Hank Sanicola was waiting in the hallway when the elevator doors opened. He was a big man, expensive suit, tired eyes. He looked like he'd been waiting for bad news and was trying to prepare for it. "You the courier?" Sanicola asked. "Yes, sir. Miguel Rodriguez, Western Union." Miguel handed him the telegram. Sanicola looked at the envelope, turned it over. "Didn't open it. How late is this?" 3 hours, sir." Sanicola's jaw tightened. 3 hours. "Yes, sir. There was a sorting error at the office. We apologize for the delay." Sanicola didn't respond. He just stood there holding the envelope, staring at it like it might explode. "Is Mr. Sinatra available?" Miguel asked. "He's sleeping. He was up all night, had a show at midnight, didn't get off stage until 2 a.m., then stayed up drinking with Dean and Sammy until 6. He's been asleep since 7. Should I wait in case there's a reply?" Sanicola looked at him. "No, I'll handle it." "Are you sure if it's urgent?" "I said I'll handle it," Sanicola interrupted. His voice wasn't angry, just firm, final. Miguel nodded. "Understood. If there's anything else." "There won't be." Miguel took the elevator back down, walked through the casino, got in his van. He sat there for a moment, hands on the steering wheel, looking up at the penthouse floor. Then he drove back to the Western Union office. Sanicola stood in the hallway for another 2 minutes, holding the telegram. He knew what it said. He didn't have to open it to know. He'd gotten the call from Dolly Sinatra that morning at 9:15 a.m. Pacific time. Marty Sinatra had died of a heart attack. Sudden, no warning. He was 64 years old. Dolly was devastated. She'd asked Hank to tell Frank, to break the news gently. to make sure Frank was sitting down when he heard. But Hank hadn't told him, couldn't tell him. Because when the call came, Frank was on stage at the Sands mid-song with 3,000 people watching. And after the show, Frank was wired, energized, happy. Hank had looked at him, at his best friend, the guy he'd known since they were kids in Hoboken, and he couldn't do it. Couldn't walk up to him and say, "Your father's dead." So he'd waited, told himself he'd do it in the morning, when Frank was rested, when the adrenaline had worn off, when he could process it without the chaos of the casino around him. But now it was morning and Frank was asleep. And Hank was standing in a hallway holding a telegram that said the same thing he should have said 6 hours ago. He opened the envelope, read the 7 words, folded the telegram and put it in his jacket pocket. Then he walked to Frank's suite and knocked on the door. No answer. He knocked again, harder. After a moment, the door opened. Frank Sinatra stood there in a bathrobe, hair disheveled, eyes half closed. "Hank, what the hell? I've been asleep for 2 hours. I know, I'm sorry, but you need to wake up." Frank squinted at him. "Why?" Hank held out the telegram. "This just came." Frank took it, opened it. Read it. His face didn't change, not at first. He just stood there holding the paper, reading the same 7 words over and over. Then he looked up at Hank. "When did this come in?" "About 3 hours ago." 3 hours, yeah, and you're just now giving it to me." Hank didn't answer. Frank stared at him. "Hank, when did you know?" "This morning, Dolly called around 9:15. Frank's voice went very quiet. "You knew this morning and you didn't tell me. You were on stage." "I couldn't, after the show. You could have told me after the show. You were happy. I didn't want to." "You didn't want to what?" "Ruin my night." "Jesus Christ, Hank, my father died and you didn't tell me because you didn't want to ruin my night." Hank took a step back. "Frank, I'm sorry. You thought what? That I'd rather find out from a telegram, that I'd rather wake up at 2 in the afternoon and read 7 words on a piece of paper instead of hearing it from my best friend. I didn't know what to do." Frank crumpled the telegram in his fist. "You didn't know what to do. My father is dead and you didn't know what to do, so you just didn't do anything." "Frank, get out." "What?" "Get out of my room, get out of my sight. I don't want to see you right now." Hank stood there for a moment, then he turned and walked away. Frank closed the door, stood in the middle of his suite holding the crumpled telegram, not moving. After a long time he walked to the phone, dialed a number. It rang 4 times before someone picked up. "Hello." His mother's voice. Hoarse, broken. "Ma, it's me." Dolly Sinatra started crying, not loud, just quiet, steady sobs. "Frankie, oh Frankie, I'm so sorry. I didn't want you to find out this way. I wanted to call you myself, but I couldn't say the words." "It's okay, Ma." "It's not okay. Nothing's okay. He was fine yesterday. We had breakfast. He read the paper. He was fine. And then this morning I woke up and he was. I know, Ma, I know." "When can you come home?" Frank looked at the clock on the wall. 2:27 p.m. "I'll catch the next flight. I'll be there tonight." Okay, thank you, Frankie. I love you, Ma. I love you too." He hung up, stood there for another minute, then he got dressed, called the front desk, told them to book him on the next flight to Newark, called his agent, canceled the rest of his shows at the Sands, called Dean Martin, told him what happened. Dean offered to come with him. Frank said no, he needed to do this alone. At 4:15 p.m., Frank Sinatra walked through the lobby of the Sands Hotel. He was wearing a dark suit, carrying a small bag. His face was expressionless. People in the casino stared. A few called his name. He didn't acknowledge them, just walked straight to the exit where a car was waiting. The driver opened the door. Frank got in. The car pulled away. Hank Sanicola watched from the bar. He ordered a bourbon, drank it in one swallow, ordered another. The bartender, who'd been working at the Sands for 8 years and had seen everything, said quietly, "You okay, Mr. Sanicola?" Hank didn't answer, just stared at his drink. The bartender left him alone. Frank Sinatra flew to Newark, took a car to Hoboken, walked into his childhood home at 11:43 p.m. His mother was sitting at the kitchen table, surrounded by relatives and neighbors. She stood when she saw him. They held each other for a long time. The funeral was 3 days later. St. Francis Church, the same church where Frank had been baptized, where he'd taken his first communion, where his father had sat in the third pew every Sunday for 40 years. The church was packed. Family, friends, people from the neighborhood, reporters standing in the back. Frank gave the eulogy. He spoke for 7 minutes. He talked about his father's work ethic, his kindness, his quiet strength. He didn't mention the telegram. Didn't mention finding out 3 hours late. Didn't mention Hank. After the funeral, Frank flew back to Las Vegas. He didn't call Hank, didn't speak to him for 6 weeks. When they finally talked, it was brief, professional. Frank never mentioned what happened, never brought up the telegram, never said he forgave him, but he also never fired him, never cut him out, just kept working with him like nothing had changed. Except something had changed. Everyone around Frank knew it. The closeness was gone, the easy friendship. The late-night conversations where they'd talk about everything and nothing, that was over. Hank felt it. He tried to apologize once 2 months later. Frank cut him off. "It's done, Hank, let it go. But I need you to know, I know, and it's done." Hank never brought it up again. Years later, someone asked Frank about his father's death, how he'd handled it, how he'd gotten through it. "You just do," Frank said. "You get on a plane, you go home, you bury your father, you come back, you keep working, what else is there?" But it must have been difficult, losing him suddenly like that. Of course it was difficult. "How did you find out?" Frank was quiet for a moment. "Telegram. That must have been hard. Getting news like that in a telegram. It was what it was." "Did anyone help you through it? Friends, family?" Frank looked at the interviewer. "My mother helped me. My family helped me. The people I needed were there. The ones who weren't." The interviewer didn't push. In 1968, Hank Sanacola and Frank Sinatra had a falling out over a business deal. They stopped working together, stopped speaking. For years, people asked Hank what happened. He never gave details, just said they'd grown apart. In 1974, Hank Sanacola died of a heart attack. He was 64 years old. Frank Sinatra didn't attend the funeral. He sent flowers, a simple arrangement, no note. People who knew the history understood. Others thought it was cold. But those who really knew, who understood what had happened in that hallway at the Sands in June 1960, realized that Frank had been saying goodbye to Hank for 14 years. Not because of the business deal, not because of the falling out, because of 7 words on a telegram that arrived 3 hours late and a friend who'd chosen comfort over truth. And sometimes that's a choice you can't come back from, no matter how long you pretend you have. The question is this. When your best friend gets a call that your father died and he doesn't tell you because you're happy, because you're on stage, because he doesn't want to ruin your night, and you find out 3 hours later from a telegram, is that protection? Or is that betrayal? And when you never fire him, never cut him off, but the friendship is never the same, and 14 years later he dies and you don't go to his funeral, is that forgiveness? Or is that the slowest way to let someone know they were already gone? Because maybe some mistakes aren't about what you did. They're about what you didn't do when it mattered most. And maybe the cruelest thing you can do to someone isn't to yell at them or fire them. It's to let them stay close enough to see that they'll never be close again. Hank Sanacola thought he was protecting Frank Sinatra, but what he really did was show Frank that when it mattered, when the worst thing in the world happened, Hank chose his own comfort over Frank's right to know. And Frank never forgot that. Not in 6 weeks. Not in 14 years. Not ever.